Hey guys, Frightener22 here, back with my very anticipated at the movies review of the highly anticipated Scream 4. Now, of course, in this film, this reunites all the original surviving cast members from the original Scream trilogy, that being Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, and David Arquette. And of course, Wes Craven is back in the director's chair with Kevin Williamson, the original screenwriter, taking over the scripting duties once again. Now, in this fourth installment, which is the latest sequel that takes place 11 years after the third film and 15 years since the original Scream hit theaters way back in 1996. So in this latest installment, it deals with Sidney Prescott, played by Neve Campbell, returning back home to her hometown of Woodsboro on a promotional book tour of her latest book, Out of Darkness. And of course, once she returns home, Ghostface is back with some surprises. He's back with the phone calls, and of course, plenty of bloodshed and murders are there to spare. Now, all that said, I have to say this. We're a society that totally thrives on the underdog story. We love seeing, things making a comeback, and we love rooting for it. I mean, there's tons of franchises that have done it over the years. Of course, the Rocky films, and, just with each solid story and a solid, film, we always hope to fall in love with characters and kind of return back to those stories and characters that we fell in love with. So that's what I mean. We're a society that really thrives on the underdog story and loves to root for, a really good story, and we like to see it continue again and again, as long as the story is good and fresh. And that, my friends, is exactly what Scream 4 is. Scream 4 is totally the sequel that we've been waiting for in the horror community. It's the sequel to, a popular franchise that many of us grew up loving, and, many horror fans right now as a classic franchise. I personally think it is. And Scream 4 is exactly the kind of sequel that it needed at this time. It was kind of rough going into it, thinking, wow, it's really been 11 years since Scream 3, and the majority of people kind of felt that Scream 3 left kind of a sour taste in their mouths. I have always kind of pleaded that it, of course, is the weakest of the sequels when you compare it to Scream and Scream 2, but it definitely has its fun and charming moments. But then, now that Scream 4 has arrived, this totally is, I have to say, it may actually be the best sequel out of the entire Scream franchise, which is saying a lot from somebody that really held Scream to, basically on the same bar as the original Scream. But this film is just packed with everything. I personally thought that the screenplay in this was just as fresh and hip as the original screenplay was, and that's interesting to note because Wes Craven, would only agree to making this film originally if the script was as good as the original Scream, and I personally think that it achieved that. Now, I have to be honest, though, of course, being a lover of the original Scream and, of course, the original sequels, I kind of walked into this film and, during the opening, like 20-25 minutes, I was still kind of getting used to the surroundings, having not been, near that franchise in, 11 years, kind of getting used to the new characters and really seeing what, the new tricks of the trade were going to be. We're living in a completely different world now. Here we are in 2011, and of course, the rules have changed yet again. We live in a whole world where, nothing in Hollywood these days gets greenlit unless it's a sequel, hence Scream 4, or just a complete reboot or remake of a once popular franchise. So, Kevin Williamson does a really, really clever job on taking everything that's kind of happened to the movie industry and, specifically the horror industry in the last 10 years and, really delivered a really solid, smart, and funny and edgy screenplay with, the tongue firmly, in cheek, and it's really great. I mean, I really thought that he captured the essence of what made the original Scream screenplay that great. Moving on, I definitely have to agree with what most early reviews were saying. This is by far the most goriest of all the Scream movies, and that's a great thing for any horror fan out there. I don't want to get too specific on everything, because of course the Scream movies are always something that really rely on, you kind of have to see it, it's all about the element of surprise, all about the jump, so I absolutely am taking a lot of care in this review to not spoil or give too much detail into anything, but I will definitely go and say that this is by far the goriest of all the Scream sequels, and I, for one, welcomed it with open arms. I thought the gore was used incredibly well. You know, was totally just, you know, it was carnage candy the entire hour and 45 minutes during the film's runtime. It was just a, you know, a ton of fun. Of course, having the original cast back was, you know, always a good time. I think, you know, all three of them, Nev, Courtney, and David, have a really great chemistry that they've really managed to maintain over the course of 3 films. And of course, 11 years is a long time, and I was kind of worried for a little bit to see if that spark was still going to be there, but of course I really shouldn't have had to worry about anything, because the spark is definitely there. Their chemistry was flowing like it was old times, so everything was really great there. And for anybody that was kind of worried, especially after seeing Wes Craven's last directorial effort of My Soul to Take, which people, you know, really gave a horrible bad rap. They thought it was just the worst thing ever, and to be honest with you, it wasn't the greatest film of all time, but I definitely don't think that it deserved all the bad and negative comments that it got. I've definitely seen worse than My Soul to Take, so a lot of people were skeptical, thinking, okay, Craven's really dropped the ball if, you know, My Soul to Take is his latest original effort. So that being what it was, people were kind of nervous thinking about how he was going to handle Scream 4, but, you know, have no fear. Craven has got it. He's still got it. He'll always have it, in my opinion, and, you know, he really delivers all the energy and the fun and the suspense and the tension that he's given in all of his classic films, and he really comes together and, you know, has a, you know, a lot of very strong energy present in Scream 4, so all fears about that can definitely be put to rest. As far as the new cast, I was actually like I said, I had to kind of warm up to them because, you know, they are new and it's a new generation and everything. So overall, I did really enjoy the new cast of people like Emma Roberts, Hayden Panettiere, Adam Brody, Rory Culkin. You know, a lot of these kids, you know, like I said, you need to really get used to them and adjusted because, you know, with we've had 11 years to kind of soak in and absorbed, you know, the original 3 films. So we've really gotten used to those characters over the 3 films. So coming back 11 years and kind of, you know, opening your arms to a whole new group of teenagers and a whole new culture and a whole new society where, you know, YouTube is the craze and, you know, anybody can do anything to be famous. You can do something stupid on YouTube and get millions and millions of hits, and before you know it, you're on the Ellen Show signing autographs and, you know, collecting big paychecks. And that is a theme that's, without giving too much away, that is definitely a theme that Williamson touches on in the screenplay, and that is exactly the kicker in this screenplay that really makes it just as smart, as fresh as the original. Now, I want everybody to see the film. This is why I'm being very cryptic about this, but that's really what makes this script so, you know, smart and edgy this time around. And I will say, the opening scene is fantastic. All the Scream films have it, but the last 20 minutes, you know, the finale of this film is just as chaotic and, you know, nail-biting as any of the other films. I mean, this definitely is right on the same level as the original Scream's ending. I mean, it's very tense, very exciting, you know, anything could happen. It's really great. Tons of great lines being thrown all about throughout it. So overall, all I can say is, you know, if you're a lover of the Scream movies or horror in general, you really have no choice but to go to the theater this weekend and show your support for Scream 4. You have no good reason not to, because it's so fucking good. You have gore, you have original cast members, you have Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson back on the writing and directing duties of this. I mean, all the elements that made the original Scream films great is back again, and they didn't drop the ball whatsoever. They definitely delivered a really suitable and incredible sequel for horror fans to talk about for many years to come. That being said, of course, Kevin Williamson and Wes Craven, as well as I'm sure the Weinsteins and all of Dimension Films, are anxiously awaiting the box office returns for Scream 4, and Craven and Williamson are kind of waiting to see if they are going to sign on for a Scream 5 and a Scream 6, because talk has been going on since Scream 4 went into production about a whole new trilogy taking place. To be honest with you, I would be totally welcoming to a Scream 5 and a Scream 6 as long as the story is there and it's fresh, but honestly, I think Scream 4 could be a very suitable and, justifiable ending to the series. I think that it ends it on a really, really good note. So honestly, as much as I love the films, I can say that I could be totally content with them ending it at 4. I really think that it's that good of a sequel. So I don't know what you guys are waiting for. Take my words and go see Scream 4 this week, and I give it my absolute seal of approval. Well, guys, thanks again for tuning in to my At the Movies segment, and I'll see you in a future video. This has been Frightener22.